All right, so today we're going to talk about what to look for in a rent roll. I've got my business partner, George Pino. You guys probably remember George. He's here. Actually, you're here a lot.
Yeah, well, it's not difficult. It's right around the, 2 offices down.
But George is a wealth of information. We've owned multifamily properties for, I'm not even going to say how long, but a lot of years. That's where all this gray hair is from. But so let's talk about the key aspects of a rent roll, because I think a lot of people are acquiring their first property, or they've acquired their first property. Actually, if they've acquired their first property, they know how important it is. But if you're going to be acquiring a multifamily property, you want to make sure you get this rent roll. And you want to go through and explain what exactly a rent roll is?
Absolutely. The rent roll can actually assume a couple of different forms. At its simplest, it just lists the unit number, the name of the person, the rent that they're paying, and maybe a security deposit. Realistically, though, if you are looking to acquire a building, you should ask for additional information to be added to the rent roll so that you can confirm it with what's on the leases themselves. And that could be the security deposit, the bedroom bath counts, if possible, maybe square footage. More importantly, when they moved in, when was their last rent increase, and when their lease expires. So this allows you the opportunity to take a look at the property and then determine whether or not there's potential for immediate value add, or if it's going to be maybe a little bit later by raising rents. Because in some cases, some municipalities, even on a month-to-month rental agreement, you can't raise the rent but once a year. So it depends on the municipality that you're buying in. So you really need to understand that and take a look at it. So it's a great form to have a nice summary, but it's more of a double check against the leases.
Yeah, so you want to ask not just for the rent roll, but you want to ask for the leases. You want to be able to compare the two, because we've seen the situation where a tenant or an investor bought a building and he had 10 vacancies coming up. They were doing 6-month leases in this property, so he wouldn't have been aware of that without the rent roll. So, and then comparing them with the leases. So, anything else that you think everybody should know?
Well, one of the things I always seem to catch a little bit, or lately have been, is that the security deposits listed on the rent roll a lot of times are different from what's in the lease. And a lot of times the reason why is because the landlord took part of that security deposit due to either late payments from the tenant or damages that they caused. And so it gives you a little bit of insight on what the tenants and how they're actually treating it. And if you see somebody that may have $1,000 security deposit on the lease, but only on the rent roll shows $250, you may not want to have that person as a tenant, or may not want, if it's going to be a big headache, you may have to rethink about whether or not you want it, because you may have to evict them soon if they've constantly been late on their payments.
Yeah, well, especially now, where you got, the eviction moratorium is over with. There could be people that haven't paid for the last several months.
Absolutely, and they probably deducted a lot of those payments off the security deposit.
Probably so, but great advice. All right, thank you for tuning in. George, thank you for walking over. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you again next week.